When people hurt you, they're not just attacking your feelings, they're testing your boundaries, and how you respond in those moments determines whether you lose your power or claim it. Today, I want to share 3 responses that don't come from anger, ego, or fear, but from strength. These are the same principles that protect your peace, safeguard your self-respect, and remind others that you're not someone to be underestimated. Let's get into it. Protecting your boundaries with calm authority begins with understanding that real strength is not loud, emotional, or reactive. It is quiet, intentional, and rooted in self-respect. When someone tries to push you, manipulate you, or get a reaction out of you, they're testing not just your emotions, they're testing who you believe yourself to be. People who have strong boundaries don't crumble when challenged, and they don't feel pressured to explain or justify themselves. They respond with clarity, not chaos. Calm authority is about owning your presence in any room, regardless of who else is there or what energy they bring. It's choosing to remain grounded even when someone else is trying to pull you off balance. Most people deliver their boundaries in a way that reveals insecurity, through over-explaining, defending themselves excessively, or becoming emotional. But calm authority works differently. It says, I know who I am, I know what I allow, I know what I don't tolerate. When you project that energy, people feel it. They may not admit it, but they sense the line you've drawn, and they recognize that crossing it comes with consequences, not because you yell, but because you follow through. To protect your boundaries with calm authority, you need to know your limits before anyone tests them. If you only start thinking about your boundary after someone crossed it, you're already negotiating from a place of weakness. The strongest people decide ahead of time what behavior is acceptable for them and what behavior is not. Once that internal decision is made, every external response becomes easier. You simply align your actions with your standards. The calmer you are, the more powerful you appear because you're not reacting emotionally, you're enforcing a principle. Calm authority also changes the dynamics of interaction. When someone tries to belittle you, insult you, or push your buttons, they're expecting an emotional reaction. They want defense, anger, or insecurity. It feeds them. That's why staying composed frustrates toxic people. They lose control the moment you stop playing their game. They realize they can't trigger you, and losing that leverage makes them uncomfortable. Your calmness becomes a mirror reflecting their own lack of control, and that is deeply unsettling for anyone who thrives on dominance or manipulation. Sometimes the strongest boundary is silence, not the silence of fear, but the silence of decision. When you choose not to respond to disrespect, or you respond with very few words, you're demonstrating that not everything deserves your energy. You're saying without saying, your behavior is beneath the level at which I operate, and that message is far more powerful than any argument. Calm authority isn't about proving a point, it's about knowing you don't need to. Another important aspect of calm authority is consistency. Boundaries mean nothing if they're only enforced occasionally. If someone repeatedly disrespects you and you continue allowing it, your boundary becomes just a suggestion. But when you enforce your limits every single time, without aggression, without apology, you teach people exactly how to treat you. Consistency earns respect, even from those who initially challenge you. People with calm authority don't threaten others, they don't dramatize situations, and they don't chase validation. They simply choose their own peace over someone else's chaos. This is what gives them power. When your emotional state is not controlled by someone's behavior, you become untouchable. Your boundary becomes an extension of your identity, strong, clear, and unshakable. Protecting your boundaries is not about building walls, it's about teaching people where the door is and who is allowed to walk through it. Responding from strength rather than emotion begins with understanding that reactions driven by impulse rarely serve you. When someone hurts you, disrespects you, or challenges you, your first instinct might be to defend yourself, retaliate, or prove a point. But strength is not found in the immediate reaction. Strength comes from the pause, the space you create between what happened and how you choose to respond. This pause is where clarity lives. It's where you reclaim control over the moment instead of handing your power to the person who tried to provoke you. When you respond from strength, you are choosing intention over impulse, strategy over chaos, and self-respect over immediate gratification. People who try to provoke you often rely on emotional responses because emotional responses are predictable and easy to manipulate. When you react with anger or hurt, you reveal your vulnerabilities and show exactly where they can aim next time. Responding from strength means you don't give them that map, you don't expose your emotional buttons, you stay centered even if your heart is racing or your mind is spinning. Strength is not the absence of emotion. It's the ability to manage emotion without letting it leak out in ways that cost you dignity. When you respond from strength, you make the other person adjust to your energy instead of allowing them to control the direction of the interaction. People who hurt others often rely on the element of surprise, catching you off guard, hitting you where it stings, or pushing you at a moment of weakness. But when you respond calmly, confidently, and with intention, you take away that advantage. You show them that you are not someone who breaks easily or gets thrown off balance. This kind of composure is incredibly intimidating to those who expect chaos. Another part of responding from strength is choosing the right response for the situation rather than reacting emotionally. Sometimes the strong response is speaking up. Sometimes it's setting a boundary. Sometimes it's redirecting the conversation. And sometimes the strongest response is walking away entirely. Emotional reactions push you toward one automatic direction, usually confrontation or withdrawal. Strong responses are deliberate. You ask yourself, what outcome serves me best? Instead of how do I make them feel what I feel? This shift in focus transforms the power dynamic. Responding from strength also means refusing to let someone else's behavior dictate your self-worth. If you take their words personally, if you let their judgment define you, then your emotional response isn't about them. It's a reflection of your own insecurities. Strength comes from knowing who you are so deeply that no insult, no rejection, and no disrespect can shake your foundation. When you have that level of internal certainty, people sense it. They quickly learn that emotional manipulation will not work on you. There is also strategic advantage in responding from strength. When you stay in control of your tone and your reactions, you gather information. You get to observe the other person without revealing your own emotional state. You see their motives more clearly, you recognize patterns in their behavior, and you identify whether they are acting out of ignorance, insecurity, or intention. This awareness allows you to choose a response that not only protects you but positions you advantageously. Emotional reactions cloud your perception, strength sharpens it. Lastly, responding from strength means valuing long-term power over short-term satisfaction. Losing your temper may feel good for a moment, but it often costs you credibility, clarity, and control. Holding your ground with calmness may feel uncomfortable, but it builds respect, both from others and from yourself. It teaches people that you operate from a place of inner stability rather than reactivity. And it reinforces the truth that no one gets to dictate your emotional state unless you hand them that privilege. Silence as a power move is one of the most misunderstood but effective strategies you can use when dealing with people who try to hurt, provoke, or undermine you. Most people think silence means weakness, avoidance, or surrender, but in reality, strategic silence is a form of discipline that only strong, self-controlled individuals can maintain. When someone disrespects you, they expect a reaction: anger, defensiveness, excuses, explanations, anything that shows they successfully got under your skin. Silence takes that away from them. It denies them the emotional payoff they were hoping for. The moment you refuse to feed their need for drama or conflict, you take back control of the interaction in a way that words often cannot accomplish. Silence forces the other person to sit with their own behavior. When you stop defending yourself or engaging in their chaos, they are left with nothing but the weight of their own words and actions. Many people are only comfortable when they have someone else to blame, argue with, or emotionally push around. When you give them nothing, they feel the discomfort of their own choices. Silence acts as a mirror. It reflects everything they tried to project onto you, and they now have to face it without distraction. This can be incredibly unsettling for people who rely on conflict as a form of control. Silence is powerful because it shows mastery over your emotions. Anyone can shout, argue, or throw words around when they feel slighted, but very few can stand firmly in themselves and choose not to engage. Silence communicates without saying a single thing that you are not moved, not threatened, and not invested in the negativity being directed at you. This kind of composure communicates a level of strength that no argument or confrontation can replicate. It shows that you value your peace more than proving a point, and that alone changes how people approach you. Another aspect of silence's power is that it shifts the psychological balance of the situation. People expect verbal pushback because it creates a predictable pattern. They attack, you react, and the cycle continues. But when you remove your voice from the exchange, you break the pattern they rely on. They no longer know what you're thinking, what you're planning, or whether you even care. That uncertainty makes them uncomfortable and disrupts the control they thought they had over the situation. Silence creates an emotional vacuum, and people will often reveal more than they intended just to fill it. They may explain themselves, backtrack, apologize, or expose their motives, all because you chose to say nothing. Silence also protects you from saying something you might regret. When emotions run high, words can become weapons turned against you later. By staying silent, you maintain your dignity, your privacy, and your strategic advantage. You give yourself time to process your feelings and decide whether this situation even deserves your voice. Not everything does. Some people speak only to provoke, not to communicate. Answering them fuels the fire, silence extinguishes it. Even in professional or social situations, silence can elevate your presence. When you speak less, your words carry more weight. People take your responses more seriously because they recognize that you do not waste your voice on nonsense. Silence creates an aura of self-assuredness. It suggests that you listen more than you speak, observe more than you react, and choose your words carefully. This often leads others to treat you with more respect because they sense they cannot easily sway or manipulate you. And sometimes silence is the strongest boundary of all. It communicates that you do not negotiate with disrespect, you do not indulge immaturity, you do not reward bad behavior with attention. Silence is not passive, it is a deliberate withdrawal of energy. It is saying, without any words, this conversation, this behavior, this person does not deserve access to me. In a world where everyone is quick to respond, defend, or justify themselves, the person who chooses silence stands out as the one who truly holds the power. Redirecting energy back to the offender is not about revenge or trying to hurt them. It is about refusing to absorb negativity that was never yours to begin with. When someone tries to insult you, manipulate you, or emotionally corner you, they are attempting to hand you their own insecurity, frustration, or unresolved issues. Most people instinctively take that energy in. They internalize the disrespect, replay the words in their mind, and allow the other person's behavior to shape their emotional state. Redirecting energy means you don't accept the delivery. You send it right back, not through aggression, but through clarity, confidence, and refusal to engage in a way that drains you. This is a form of psychological judo, using the other person's own intention to collapse their power over you. When someone tries to bring you down, they expect you to react emotionally. They want validation that their words matter to you, that their criticisms landed, or that their manipulation succeeded. Redirecting energy breaks that expectation immediately. Instead of absorbing what they throw at you, you treat their behavior as a reflection of them rather than a statement about you. The moment you see their actions as a projection, you stop personalizing it. You stop taking ownership of what is not yours. You let their negativity return to its original source. This mindset alone shifts the entire dynamic. It robs the offender of the emotional reward they were seeking, leaving them confused, powerless, or exposed. Redirecting energy also means refusing to match someone's hostility. When you stay composed while they escalate, you're not allowing them to dictate your emotional temperature. You're signaling that their energy is theirs, not yours. Instead of rising to their level, you hold your own. This calmness acts like a shield. Their negativity hits the surface but doesn't penetrate. People who lash out expect others to rise to their chaos, but when you don't feed it, the chaos collapses under its own weight. This is the quiet strength that deeply unsettles manipulative or antagonistic individuals. They can no longer control the rhythm of the interaction, and suddenly they are the ones who feel out of place. Another powerful form of redirecting energy is asking simple, direct questions. Questions shift responsibility back to the offender. They force the other person to explain themselves, justify their actions, and confront the reality of their behavior. Instead of defending yourself, you place the spotlight on them. What made you say that? What exactly do you mean by that? Why is this important to you? These questions are not confrontational, they are clarifying. But they turn the emotional pressure around. Now the offender is the one who must respond, think, or acknowledge the intention behind their behavior. Most people who throw negativity do not expect to be held accountable for it. Redirecting energy through clarity exposes their motives without you having to raise your voice or show anger. Redirecting energy also means not allowing someone's emotional state to become your responsibility. If they are upset, bitter, jealous, or insecure, that does not obligate you to fix it or carry it. Many toxic people use emotional outbursts or guilt as a way to manipulate others into compliance. When you refuse to take on that weight, you protect both your emotional well-being and your self-respect. You can acknowledge someone's feelings without becoming entangled in them. You can hear their words without absorbing them. This emotional detachment is not coldness. It is boundary management at its highest level. Ultimately, redirecting energy is about choosing where your attention goes. Attention is power, and people who want to hurt you are often seeking exactly that, your attention, your reaction, your emotional involvement. When you refuse to give them what they want, you take back control. You maintain your center. You walk away with your peace intact, while they are left holding the same negativity they tried to give you. In this way, redirecting energy is not resistance, it's mastery. It is the art of letting others keep what was never meant for you. Walking away without losing your power begins with understanding that leaving a situation is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of discernment. People often stay engaged in arguments, conflicts, or toxic dynamics because they fear being perceived as passive or afraid. But real strength is knowing when something no longer deserves your time, your energy, or your presence. Walking away is the moment you decide that protecting your peace matters more than winning a battle that shouldn't be fought. It is choosing dignity over drama and clarity over chaos. When you walk away intentionally, you send a silent but unmistakable message: I do not operate at this level. I do not allow myself to be pulled into situations that diminish me. Walking away is powerful because it shows emotional independence. Most people are controlled by the need to be right, the need to explain themselves, or the need to convince others of their value. They stay in harmful situations because they feel the urge to defend their position or correct someone else's perception. But walking away requires none of that. It means you are secure enough in who you are that you don't need external validation to confirm your worth. You don't need to win the argument. You don't need the last word. You don't need the other person to understand your perspective. You simply remove yourself from the exchange because your inner peace is worth more than their approval. Another reason walking away is so powerful is that it disrupts the control toxic people try to have over you. Many people provoke, insult, or push your boundaries because they expect you to react. They want to see you angry, upset, or emotionally thrown off. That reaction gives them leverage, but when you walk away calmly without explanation or emotional escalation, you take away their power entirely. They lose the reaction they wanted. Their attempt to control the situation fails. And because you didn't rise to their bait, they are left with nothing but their own behavior to deal with. Walking away turns the focus back on them, forcing them to confront the emptiness of their actions. Walking away also protects your emotional and mental clarity. When you stay in a conflict too long, you begin to adopt the energy of the environment you're in. You think in ways you normally wouldn't, speak in ways you normally wouldn't, and behave in ways that don't represent your best self. Leaving the situation allows you to reset your emotions, breathe, and respond from a place of strength rather than impulse. It gives you the space to think, is this worth it? Does this person deserve access to me? Am I investing my energy where it can grow or where it gets drained? Leaving is not avoidance. It is choosing the healthiest direction for your mind and spirit. Walking away becomes an even greater power move when you do it with composure. It's not slamming doors, storming out, or shutting down emotionally. It's standing up, steady, grounded, and choosing not to continue the conversation. It's saying, through action, that you value peace over conflict and self-respect over ego battles. This kind of exit is impactful because it is controlled. It's not the walk of defeat, it's the walk of someone who knows they deserve better. People notice when someone walks away from a situation without bitterness or fear. It changes the way they view you and how they behave around you moving forward. Sometimes walking away is the ultimate boundary. It is the point where you stop explaining what you need and instead show it through action. If someone repeatedly disrespects you, ignores your boundaries, or fails to treat you with basic decency, walking away teaches them that your presence is not guaranteed. It communicates that access to you is a privilege, and privileges can be revoked. You cannot control how someone behaves, but you can control your distance, and distance can be one of the most powerful forms of self-respect. In the end, walking away without losing your power is about choosing yourself. Choosing your calm over chaos, your dignity over disrespect, and your future over a moment of emotional reaction. It is not giving up, it is leveling up. It is a decision that says, I don't fight battles that don't grow me. I don't stay where I am not valued, and I don't dim my power to match the darkness of someone else's behavior.